The Overview tab within the Graph section of a patient's profile is particularly flexible and allows for deep insights into the data that has been uploaded. First, we can select the time range that we would like to review from the drop-down, including custom time ranges. After doing this, we can review the graph below, where we see glucose results colour-coded for those that are above, within and below the target range, including a black trend line. Below that, we have carbohydrates, which are represented as proportionally sized bars on the chart, representing the amount of carbohydrates that are recorded for each day. Likewise, we have proportionally sized bars for insulin, which indicate the amount of insulin that has been administered on each day, and these may be subdivided further depending on the capabilities of the device that has been uploaded to include bolus and basal insulins. As we continue to scroll, we can see statistical metrics for both glucose and insulin. For instance, for glucose, when using a CGM, we have the average daily glucose value for the time period that we are reviewing, as well as all results broken down into the percentage that fall within each of the very low to very high brackets. These brackets are then defined below. We also have other useful data points, such as the percentage of time that a CGM has been active over the time period that we are assessing. For insulin, we have, for instance, the total units of insulin given over the course of a day during the period that we are reviewing, and how that insulin is then divided between bolus and basal. The great thing about the charts within Glooko is that they can be interacted with. So when we highlight a particular day, we can see the median glucose for that day, we can see the total carbs, as well as the total units of insulin over the course of that day. If we want to see this information in a more detailed view, we can actually click on that specific day, and that will then bring up a much more detailed chart which will show the CGM results, but this time they will be presented alongside the individual blood glucose values that were recorded. Beneath that, we have the carbohydrate values that were recorded, and when we hover on them, we have the exact time that they were recorded. Again, we have bolus insulin, which is presented with proportional bars, and when we hover over these, we get more information, such as this one here, where it accompanies 11 grams of carbs that have been recorded, and therefore for that meal, it would have recommended 1.2 units of insulin. However, because we were slightly high, the device in question has also recommended a correction of 0.6 units, but it recognises that there was insulin on board of 0.8 units. Insulin on board is represented by the acronym IOB. Therefore, the suggested dose is 1.2 units, and in this case, the patient actually delivered 2 units. This might be a point that the healthcare professional wanted to explore in greater detail with the patient. Beneath that, we have the basal rate, where you see the dotted line represents a temporary basal, the solid line represents a scheduled basal, and we might get gaps in that line, such as we see here on the right-hand side, which is signified by the red dots, which show that the basal was suspended during this time. Any changes to the basal are seen here in black text, when the level may change from, for instance, 1.2 to 1 unit per hour. As we scroll down, we get more information, for instance, for time in range, again broken into the very high to very low brackets, and also total insulin and how that can be subdivided into bolus and basal. This is a very detailed view for a single day. If we wanted to zoom back out to a bird's eye view of multiple days, we can do that using the links at the top here, or again by going to the drop down and selecting the time period we would like to review. At this point, we can then click into the day that we would like to view in greater detail and review a separate day in the same way.